Cool. Looks like we've got a pretty big crowd this time. I think the
Yeah.
word of Forgotten Runes is spreading.
All right.
Yeah, let's get started. So, as always, this is Elf and Dota channeling in from the Quantum
Hello.
Downs.
Hello.
Dota, I'm going to let you start. What's on your checklist for
Sure.
today?
So let's start with the Book of Lore. So we've made some good development there. Our contracts alpha are live on Rinkeby. We've also started the web UI. So shout out to Niski, who's been helping with dev there. Also shout out to TV, who's also been helping improve the map. We still have some details that we need to figure that out. But yeah, we're doing dev there. There's actually quite a lot of web development to be done on ForgottenRunes.com, in particular for the Book of Lore, and there's a handful of other things coming up, Souls being the most obvious one. So if you are a React developer or if you know someone, I'd love to talk to you. I mean, those two guys, Niski and TV, have helped a lot, but we could probably use one other person who's good, especially if you have maybe a little bit of design sense, hopefully better than mine. We do have maybe a small budget available, depending on the right candidate, but hopefully it's a wizard and we can kind of work through that. So the Book of Lore is coming. Even if it's only just me, I'll make the Book of Lore happen. But if there's anybody else who wants to hop in, we could use another dev.
Awesome. Yeah. And, for anyone who is new, who doesn't know what the Book of Lore is, it's a very special feature coming soon to Forgotten Runes. Basically, what it's going to be is a book on our website where any wizard holder can write lore or contribute lore, artwork, writing, poems, whatever. You contribute lore to your own wizard. And the basic idea is that after hopefully a couple months, couple of years, whatever, we're going to have this giant, beautiful digital compendium of histories of all of our wizards in our collection. So yeah, I think it's going to be amazing. And to that, okay, I've had a lot of community members DMing me Dota, showing us the lore that they've been writing, and one big question we always get is how is this going to fit into the official lore, the official meta narrative? Can I write about that?
Mm-hmm.
How are you guys going to reconcile these two things? Here's my answer. So behind the scenes, yes, I am writing the meta narrative. I am writing the official lore of the entire world. The best thing wizard holders can do now is just focus on lore for the wizards you own. Don't worry too much about the grand narrative, the overall world lore, because what's going to happen is once we start collecting all of this information in the Book of Lore, I'm going to be able to use this. I'm going to be able to look at all of your wizards and sort of have that shape the meta narrative, because I want this to be a sort of decentralized lore building project. This is very experimental. Who knows how it's going to turn out, but so far it's been freaking awesome. And so what I mean by official canon meta narrative is this is the sort of thing that's going to actually show up in animated shorts. It's going to show up in the comic book. It's going to show up in video games and more, I guess bigger media expressions. Let's just put it that way. I'm really waiting on the Book of Lore to get shaped before I start incorporating everybody else's lore into the meta narrative. This will just be a nice place to gather it all. I can flip to anyone's page, look at what they've written, see if it fits in the meta narrative. If it doesn't, that's okay. If it does, great. This is, it's going to be a very loose, decentralized way of building lore. You want to say anything, Dota?
I think it's just don't stress about walking outside of the narrative. I think of it as a little bit. So I think we were talking to Jitsi from the Horde in particular this week, and when I think about, for example, Harry Potter and fan fiction, there, maybe there's I think one of the more popular fan fiction Harry Potter is this love story between Harry and Draco, and they sort of get together as a couple, and okay, fine, that's not part of the canon, but it's still sort of part of the lore and part of the world, and I think that you shouldn't stress too much about going outside of the lore so much as just I think that almost everyone that I've seen has pretty good taste in what this world can be, and the official canon will be revealed in time.
Yep. Yeah, and just like I said last week, in the short term, I'm not going to release some big Silmarillion type blog post that just outlines all the official lore of Forgotten Runes. That's the least interesting way to do it. One of the guiding principles of this entire project has been delivering the information in such a way that it's still mysterious, that you still have to dig for the Easter eggs. You still have to like put it all together. It's not just spelled out for you. And so we've got tons of really fun ways that we're going to be delivering this information, whether it's through animation or comics or any other crazy media expression. Speaking of animation, we can't say too many solid details yet, but we've been having unbelievably exciting meetings with partners who are very interested in this project. And let me just say this. It is very likely we are going to get some animated content. Let's just put it that way. Not in the next month or so, because animation takes forever, but it looks like it's definitely going to happen.
Yeah, we're trying to make shorts meeting with
Hey, Doda, Doda, you're cutting up really bad.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you, but it's cutting up really bad.
Robo
Okay.
Dota.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we'll see if we can get him back. Oh, here he is. Is that better, you think, Doda?
Yeah, is that better for you?
I think so, yes.
Okay, we'll try this.
Okay.
Okay, good. So the thing that I was saying here is that yeah, getting a full show is like very tricky. Maybe we could talk like a little bit to that process if it's interesting. If you, for example, go to if you try to sell a show directly, it's like really involved. And if you don't have a big enough audience and you don't have enough demand, then you actually end up having to give up more than you would want to. It can take a really long time. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is build up to that. And so one of the first ways that we're going to do is do shorts at first. And so we've had some really promising meetings, really with like our first choice, honestly. Like our first choice of animation studio is very optimistic on this kind of project. So we're very excited about it. We can't name names because nothing's been signed, but we're working on it.
Yeah, this studio is they're so good. They honestly they do a lot of shows that you probably already know. Very adult animation shows, not kiddie stuff. So it's gonna look freaking awesome, I think. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about that later in the AMA, we're happy to answer. But okay, as far as other bullet points on my list, okay, here's another fun thing. So actually, after this Wizard Wednesday today, I might even have to leave early because we are going to go look at a gallery here in Venice Beach in Los Angeles because we want to do a Forgotten Runes gallery opening where we put the wizards on the walls. We don't have a date for that yet. That's why we're going to meet. But if you live in Los Angeles, please come and join us. This will be basically our first IRL Forgotten Runes meetup. So as soon as we get more solid information on that, we will, of course, let you all know. Dota, what else you got?
Cool. Yeah, other stuff we have is the game. So I met with a potential game partner yesterday. Again, similar to the show, no ink is on paper yet, but we're like aiming fairly high in terms of who's our gaming partner. So we've talked about this before. Elf and I have indie video games in the past, and they did like, well, they maybe made like, let's say $1 million, which is pretty good for indie, but not so like, not huge. It's just us. And so we also recognize it's a lot of work to do it well, and there's a lot of other people kind of trying to do this metaverse space. So we're looking to partner with this particular publisher developer one in particular that we're talking to that's very like kind of bullish on us. They have like console games at like retail stores like Target, for example. So it's not just like an indie studio. They kind of have distribution as well as devs, and we're like all kind of meeting and talking about this idea of doing like a Forgotten Runes Wizards metaverse. And it's like extremely promising, really, really exciting, but still in the talks phase. But I'm like very excited about this idea that like there's a wizard, like the map something that we can walk around with and own property and go on quests and like earn treasures and spells and hang out with friends. And so we're continuing to work on that.
Yep, it's looking very cool. And yeah, I mean, so that would be like, I guess, the quote unquote official Forgotten Runes game, but we are also looking to put wizards in other metaverses. I said last Wizard Wednesday, I'm still working on the turnarounds so that everybody can actually walk around. And I think I coupled that announcement with, I I'm quitting my day job, which is still happening.
Woohoo!
Yeah, this is actually my last week at my day job, so Friday is my official last day.
So glad.
So yeah, I mean, look, the most beautiful thing
Full-time wizard.
exactly. This means an extra 40 freaking hours a week that can be devoted to wizards. It's like I could have had these turnarounds done by now if I had this extra 40 hours. So this is going to be huge for wizards, to be honest. Yeah, and let's see what else I got on my list.
I think and the animation like also can be used for derivative works, right? We've seen such super fun derivative works this week. We can talk about that, do a bit of shout out, talk about the good mornings. But before I get there, I want to talk about the commercial IP. I also had some more talks with our lawyers. They're still working on the paperwork. As we talked about this last week, I won't spend a lot of time on it. I think what we're going for with commercial rights is going to be essentially like very broad rights to any wizards that you own up to $1 million. And then some royalty after that comes back to the creators, and which gets split with the creators and the community. And so the idea there is that like basically everyone in this room who wants to do a commercial work, and it's not only with the pixels of your wizard NFT, but it's really like a right to commercialize the character.
Yep.
Right, that's a lot deeper than just the pixels. Like if you want to like do shoes or a stuffy or a beer or whatever with the wizards that you own, you're like free to do that. And if you can someone wants to do like Christmas ornaments, and he was like, "Oh, is that within your rights?" I'm like, "For sure. Like you can make up to $1 million without paying any royalties on your Christmas ornaments or whatever." And I think the $1 million cap is really just to make sure that we are getting like big players to the table, right? We wouldn't want someone to, for example, buy 100 wizards and try to do a show without kind of including us or giving any sort of kickbacks to the community. So I think pretty good balance. We're going to try to make it simple enough that we could fit it in like a single tweet. But like, yeah, we're super excited about that. Hopefully that once we have that finalized, it'll kick off like collaborators with size who feel that they can be like, that we've made like a firm commitment in terms of what those rights are.
Yep. And, just to that, this is what is so interesting to me about this idea of decentralized intellectual property rights, because it's like, you could take your wizard and let's say you made a stuffed animal with it and made 500 grand on it. That would be really difficult to do in a vacuum all alone. But you've got a huge community with 10,000 other wizards that is also trying to build up the brand. And now suddenly you've got a stuffed animal character that also has a show and has a comic book and has a whole community. And it's just going to boost your individual project that much more. And so we all just help each other. It's a beautiful thing. So I'm really excited.
Speak
about
of
that.
Help each other, we've got an uprising in our ranks.
Yeah. So let me get to that uprising at the end of this piece. So usually I want to open with cult member shout outs. So let me go ahead and recognize some wizards who have made significant contributions. You did an awesome Cthulhu illustration. Forager, you did a beautiful Good Morning animation. And then, of course, Tad Major has been doing some awesome animations, as usual. So has Wise Sam the Viper. I've seen a few animations with him. Aaron Air, I believe that's how I pronounce your name. You did a great animation. Mind BTC, awesome animation. YM Crypto and Shark Child, you guys did a beautiful Affinity infographic that has been shared around a lot. Super great. It was great information and it was well delivered on a beautiful piece of work. I loved it.
If anyone of the speakers want to share these tweets up in the stage, feel free. I can't track them down in this second. So
yeah, and then a funny thing happened with this team called Wizard of Marketing. It looks like some marketing team. They've got like 30,000 followers on Twitter. It looks like the whole team bought wizards and is now just like using our wizards to brand themselves, which I think is freaking hilarious.
Love it.
So good on those guys. If you're in the crowd, awesome. Okay, but speaking of groups of people, this is to me one of the most fascinating things that has happened yet. And I'm talking about, of course, the Kobold Horde. I've got a lot to say about it, but Dota, go ahead.
Oh, I don't have a lot to say about it. Go for it.
Okay. So it's just fascinating to me on so many levels, the Kobold Horde. it's just like it speaks to the underlying philosophy behind all of Forgotten Runes. Okay, it's my thesis has been, okay, this is an NFT project. This is not just like another crypto token. This is not a Dogecoin. This is not a Bitcoin, where you just like you look at all the numbers, the supply cap, and the rate at which new coins enter the market, and blah blah blah. You put that on a spreadsheet, use the numbers, and boom, you've got the value of the token. That's a math problem. That's what Dogecoin. That's what Bitcoin. That's what, I don't know, Cardano and Chainlink are. They're math problems. And they're great for what they are. I'm not trying to downplay what they are. They're great. But that's not this. This is a non-fungible token project. These are NFTs. These are not meant to just be crunched by rarity numbers. But I love the Gentiles Wizard Guide. It's great. But NFTs are beyond that. NFTs are character building. They're lore. They're poems. They're art. They're kobold hordes. And so, like, what was so fascinating about it is suddenly somebody made this group with only kobolds that are not even like that. And now everybody's like, I want to FOMO into kobolds. And the significance of kobolds just went up because of this fun thing that the community did. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is what the project is all about. So now, like, other people can start hordes, or other people can start these little uprisings and offshoots. And go ahead, Doda.
Yeah. And what's great about it too is it's this group within the group, and this like sense of belonging, right? The group identity of the horde is, I think there's that tweet. There's the tweet by Flash Step where he says, coordination limited, ideas few, laziness yes, but the horde will prevail. And like, so there's already group identity. I have some friends. So I'm friends with Crypto Andolini, who's in the chat, and he was just like, he was seeing what was going on with the kobolds, and he was like, oh, I want to get one, and he got one. And then as soon as he got one, the chat blew up. Like the other kobolds were like, welcome to the club. Like they're this super welcoming group. They were like so thrilled to have another member. And so now, even when we talk about, so one, I think that like sense of belonging is like we're trying to do with wizards in general, but like even more intensely. And then two, even when we talk about like the metaverses, one of the things that is like the people will talk about, oh, we want to, give wizards their own guild or something. And with kind of the wizards metaverse, we're talking about not even having like wizards having their own private properties, but like the horde, for example, the kobold horde is now like every time it talks about, we're like, oh, we need to have like a sub club that's just for kobolds, right? Like they have like the kobold tavern or something, the horde or something. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I think just by kind of like coming together as a community, well, you create a sub community within Wizards, and then the NFTs kind of reflect that.
Yeah, it's just so great. I love seeing that stuff. Like I tell Dota all the time, the cult, you guys just blow my mind every day with the stuff that you do, and we are just getting started. And like, the whole point of this project is to empower creators, to ignite your imaginations, and you guys are just like delivering in spades. So I love it, and I can't wait to see what else is coming. So yeah, and so okay, I've got a few other things on my checklist, but let's like open it up to the community. If anybody wants to say something, just raise your hand.
Yeah, I've got a couple other things too, but let's have a community chat.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any raised hands. Yeah, if nobody wants to say anything, we can move on. Okay, yeah, Dota, what else you got?
So, okay, good morning, generator. Loved seeing everyone tell each other a good morning because I think that helps you have a good day. And I love it. We want to get the attention of Sir Ian McKellen. Like we would love to have like Gandalf be a wizard. Like how great would it be if we could sort of get his attention to have him change his profile pic to a wizard for a day?
Yep.
And so that's something that we've tried some kind of back channels, haven't necessarily had a ton of success there. But one of the things that we want to do, I think like tomorrow morning, is like we'll send out a formal tweet being like, oh, like Sir Ian McKellen, we'd love to like offer you this wizard. We've got a wizard that we'll offer to him in a tweet. We can coordinate this with in Discord as well. But we'll send a tweet where we mention him and say good morning with the wizard that we're giving him. And it would be just great if like every wizard who sees it like replies to that tweet with like a good morning.
Right.
So like I don't think that we want to like I don't think that we want to like spam him over a longer period of time. But if we just had like a raid, like a 1 day raid, and everyone replies with a picture of their wizards, I think that we might get his attention, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
So tomorrow morning, be on the lookout for the Discord. In the Discord, we'll try to coordinate that to tell Ian McKellen good
Yeah,
morning.
we just want to tell him good morning. And I'd like to say another piece about this whole operation. So we published that quiz on our Twitter, and we actually have a couple different people running our Twitter account, and so somebody misspelled Gandalf's name.
It's mostly you. It's mostly you,
It
right? But we
is,
have other people helping.
but that wasn't me who did that. It's who's misspelled Gandalf's name. So I just want to assure the cult that we have, let's just say we dealt a punishment equal to the crime. We stripped this person naked, we chained them to a rock, and every morning an eagle comes and eats out their liver. So I thought that was a fitting punishment for the crime. So just rest assured, that'll never happen again unless they want their livers
Yeah.
eaten out.
Yeah, I protected myself for a good 6 hours when I interrupted you guys talking about cross stitching, so that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all right. Cool. So yeah, let's definitely all wish Ian McKellen a good morning tomorrow, and I'm gonna try to get him to basically assume a new role. He was Gandalf, but now he's going to be a Forgotten Ruins wizard. Okay, next thing on my list, stickers. I actually have.
Hi.
Hey, Margaret, what's
Yeah,
up?
sorry. I raised my hand when you wanted to hear from the community, and then by the time
Oh, great.
it connected, I think you had moved on to something else. So there's a little bit of lag time when somebody is invited as a speaker on
Sure,
Spaces.
sure.
Yeah, I just wanted people to know that if they commissioned poems from me, I want to encourage them that they have the right to use those poems in the book of lore. They have the right to, make derivatives with those poems, put them on their cool kind of drawings or pixel art or whatever it is they're doing within the rights afforded by the NFT contract. I just want people to know that when I write a poem for you, you can do with it what you want, and I would be so excited to see some of the poems I've written wizards in the book of lore. So that's really all I wanted
Absolutely.
to say. It's just such an exciting thing. I can't wait to see the book of lore because you guys are just so creative and so good at making lore. Yeah, so that's basically all I needed to say.
So glad you said
Thanks.
that. Yes, and I meant to give you a shout out in the shout outs earlier. Yeah, Margaret is constantly writing poems for our cult. They're amazing, and I'm so glad to have her as our official bard and spell singer. So, yeah. Before I move on, does anybody else have anything to say?
Yeah. Hi, Ron. My question was
Hey, Rev.
actually also around stickers because, yeah, so kind of off topic, but I'm really active on the events, both online and offline. And as probably some of you know, there will be a ETH Lisbon, like Lisbon Blockchain Week in October. And I would love to maybe do something creative there to contribute on the growth side of the community, the wizard community, right? Maybe stickers here and there, or maybe organize something. Or maybe if there will be some folks in Lisbon, we can also meet up and do something cool for the Wizards brand.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. When did you say that was?
Yeah, as far as I remember, October 20th will start.
Okay.
Something like that.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we want to have stickers ready ASAP. But yeah, so I think you guys have been seeing my posts. I've been hashtagging them Wizards in the Hood. That has just been me stickering up my neighborhood. I ordered this first proof of stickers because I just wanted to color correct them, and I'm so glad I did because I definitely need to increase the contrast on some of these before we release them officially. But yeah, so on the one hand, they're just stickers. On the other hand, they mean a lot. And here's sort of my thoughts into going into these stickers. So like, first of all, a lot of people see stickers as like a marketing operation, which they are. And so common wisdom in marketing is like, yeah, you put your image out there, but you also need to put like your website or just tell people what they are. You can't just put an image because then nobody's going to know what it is. But I would like to buck that common wisdom, and here's why. So you think about like what Shepard Fairey did for the beginning of his career. He was putting that insane Obey Andre the Giant sticker everywhere he went. Nobody knew what the hell that was, but he put it everywhere, and that image just was burned into people's brains. And for years, nobody knew what that was because there's no website, there's no way for anyone to look it up. It was just this weird Andre the Giant face. But as he got bigger, as his brand became well known, then everybody, they had this amazing moment where they were like, oh my God, I've seen that around. I saw that 2 years ago. I seen that in the bathroom. I seen that in the alley. It's like this amazing like light bulb moment where you suddenly connect with something very strange and mysterious that you saw years ago. And so that's what I'm trying to do with Wizards, because again, that's like the guiding philosophy. Mystery. Don't spell anything out. We want to just like pique people's curiosities. And so these wizards are I'm not going to put a website on them. I'm not going to put text on them. I mean, I might have one that has a text version, but the far more interesting ones are just straight up wizards. And I want to see wizards everywhere. And
Yeah,
I just want to like
repeated exposure to the image over and over and over again until you like have to find
Yep.
out what it is.
Yep, exactly. And then the other thing that I've learned with these is wizards are stronger as a cult and not as individuals. And so what I mean is like when we were first designing these stickers, I was like, well, gee, which one do I use? And then I was like, okay, let me do a sticker pack, because then I can fit like maybe 12 wizards on an entire sheet. But then as I'm like sticking them around, I find that it's like a much stronger statement if I stick like 2 or 3 together instead of just one. Like each of these operations means something different, but like when you see wizards together, that means something so much more significant than when you see one alone. And so that just like reinforces the whole philosophy behind the wizards cult. It's like, we're in this together. We mean so much more when we're together. And so that's sort of what I love about these stickers. And like, I know it's just stickers, but I think there's like really deep meaning behind what they are. You know, you want to see the wizards out in the world. And so, yeah, so all this is to say, we're going to have these available, and I can't wait to see what you guys do with them.
Yeah, I'm excited to get those out. That's going to be really fun.
Yep.
So another thing,
yeah, go for it.
Yep, yeah. So Matazuki, aka Mages Devon of the Quantum Downs, one of the things that you did this week that I super appreciated, above and beyond what you normally do, is someone came in yesterday or Monday, and they were like, "What's the latest with Wizards?" And you listed like 10 things. You're like, "Oh, somebody used Genie to sweep the floor. Someone did this. Like this artwork went out." And there was like 10 things that happened, and it was just one day. Like, and it's crazy to me that, like, for example, like we just gave a shout out about the Affinity graphic, and it's crazy to me that was published like between the last Wizards Wednesday and today. There's just so much going on every single day, and it's impossible to keep up with. And so I think it'd be really cool if there was somebody in the community who wanted to kind of like maintain the Daily Wizard, which maybe is just like a paragraph like that they're just kind of watching in the community, looking at the fan art, looking at sort of what's happening, the noise, and could kind of record that somewhere, either if that's like on some blog post or just an announcement channel or something. I think it'd be good for it to be on the web outside of our Discord. But yeah, it's an idea that I'm thinking about trying to do a better job organizing. And if there's anybody that, that strikes your fancy and that's something you'd want to like take on, reach out to me in Discord and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yep, it was super awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think Crypto Cal is really good at also at keeping track of what's going on too. So I think if he's up to it, I think he pops them online as well. But I think I'd be up for it as well too. So we can maybe maybe it'll just be part of like one of the guilds. Maybe we can just get like a group of people, because maybe not everybody can do it every single day, but we can have a couple of people who just kind of like gather up and then maybe just post what they have together and then just publish it at once. That sounds pretty interesting.
Sure. That's a cool idea. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, and then one other interesting thing that happened this week was the storyboards that I posted. I think it was last Friday. We definitely want to do more stuff like that. In fact, I just sent off a new story to our storyboarder. I love it. It's it's just another media expression. It's delivering more information about the world lore in a very entertaining and interesting way. Somebody asked me how I choose the wizards that I'm going to write about. And to be honest with you, it's pretty much random. I'm not trying to play favorites with anyone. I think I did say on the very first Wizard Wednesday, like, the more you guys like use your wizards as your PFPs, and the more you write lore about them, then they just like they get my attention. They stick in my brain, and that's one way like they can work themselves into these bigger stories. But yeah, I mean, I want to use as many wizards as possible. The goal is to like use all 10,000, to be honest, eventually. And that may take years. But yeah, I definitely want to put every single wizard into these. And I can't wait to see what you guys do with them.
Yeah, I'm excited to get those out. This is gonna be really fun.
Yep.
So another thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Yep. Yeah. So Matazuki, aka Mages Devin of the Quantum Downs. One of the things that you did this week that I super appreciated, above and beyond what you normally do, is someone came in yesterday or Monday, and they were like, "What's the latest with Wizards?" And you listed like 10 things. You're like, "Oh, somebody used Genie to sweep the floor. Someone did this. Like this artwork went out." And there was like 10 things that happened, and it was just one day. Like, and it's crazy to me that, like, for example, like we just gave a shout out about the Affinity graphic, and it's crazy to me that was published like between the last Wizards Wednesday and today. There's just so much going on every single day, and it's impossible to keep up with. And so I think it'd be really cool if there was somebody in the community who wanted to kind of like maintain the Daily Wizard, which maybe is just like a paragraph like that they're just kind of watching in the community, looking at the fan art, looking at sort of what's happening, the noise, and could kind of record that somewhere, either if that's like on some blog post or just an announcement channel or something. I think it'd be good for it to be on the web outside of our Discord. But yeah, it's an idea that I'm thinking about trying to do a better job organizing. And if there's anybody that that strikes your fancy and that's something you'd want to like take on, reach out to me in Discord and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yep, it was super awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great. I think Crypto Cal is really good at also at keeping track of what's going on too. So I think if he's up to it, I think he pops them online as well. But I think I'd be up for it as well too. So we can maybe get like maybe it'll just be part of like one of the guilds. Maybe we can just get like a group of people, because maybe not everybody can do it every single day, but we can have a couple of people who just kind of like gather up and then maybe just post what they have together and then just publish it at once. That sounds pretty interesting.
Sure. That's a cool idea. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, and then one other interesting thing that happened this week was the storyboards that I posted. I think it was last Friday. We definitely want to do more stuff like that. In fact, I just sent off a new story to our storyboarder. I love it. It's it's just another media expression. It's delivering more information about the world lore in a very entertaining and interesting way. Somebody asked me how I choose the wizards that I'm going to write about. And to be honest with you, it's pretty much random. I'm not trying to play favorites with anyone. I think I did say on the very first Wizard Wednesday, like, the more you guys like use your wizards as your PFPs, and the more you write lore about them, then they just like they get my attention. They stick in my brain, and that's one way like they can work themselves into these bigger stories. But yeah, I mean, I want to use as many wizards as possible. The goal is to like use all 10,000, to be honest, eventually. And that may take years. But yeah, I definitely want to put every single wizard into these other things.
Well, it's going to probably have to be less than 10,000, because we are going to have the burning happening. Unless you want to do just a short 5-minute episode of going through a cauldron yelling. And that was the end of this wizard story.
Yeah, exactly.
Find us next week. Same wizard channel.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yeah, we will only have we won't have some wizards after the burning, but even the burning itself it will need its own story.
Oh, so. Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that's all on my list. Dodo, you got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all on my list as well. So yeah, I'm happy to open it up.
Yeah.
I had a question about the burning, actually.
Sure.
I don't know how much you can reveal, but I wanted to know, is every wizard going to be eligible to be burned? Like, hypothetically, if someone wanted to burn, like, not that anyone would do this, but burn the Dodo wizard or the Sacred Keymaster or something crazy like that? Like, what is there any wizard that's going to be like ineligible to be burned in the first place, or is it free for all?
Great
There's no
question.
wizards. Yeah, there's none that are ineligible. Someone, if Red decides he wants to burn the Dota wizard, then that will play out. So I think it's really community participation in terms of how it goes. There's no prevented wizards.
Yeah, but however, I will say that number one, there is going to be a cap on the amount of wizards that can be burned. I'm not going to tell you what the cap
Yeah.
is. So that's number one. And then number two, and we'll spell all this out beforehand, but you should know that burning a wizard comes with significant risk. You burn a wizard, you're going to get something back. You may love what you get back, and you may not love what you get back. So I hope that would incentivize you not to burn a really awesome wizard.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, there are some gamblers in the community though, so you never know.
Right, totally. Yep, absolutely.
And one other question
Right.
on the burn too, since there is going to be the cap, I'm wondering, like, I'm sure you've thought about this, but is there going to be some mechanism in place to prevent any kind of like gas wars or something? Like if it's like a mad rush for everyone to burn their wizard, or is it going to be some sort of like, I don't know, some sort of queue system or something, or a way to prevent gas wars?
I haven't spec'd it out yet. It's something that you and I really should talk about. It would be interesting to make sure that we're being thoughtful in that way. I mean, I think that I'm mostly concerned about the site like crashing as much as like, but I also want people like to not have like gas that fails, for example. I have seen proposals actually for like fair launches. Some of the devs have been talking about this where there's a mechanism they're like kind of working on where anybody who wants, in this case, I don't know that we'll do it this way, but you could imagine the case where you're like, oh, I want to burn, and you do a transaction, and you can do it at any time during 24 hours. And then there's sort of like a lottery system that then anyone who made it within the lottery can then burn within the next 24 hours or something. But, I'm not necessarily committing to that. I've also seen people talk about some people will like limit the gas price of the transaction, right? There's like a max gas price, which I think is interesting. I don't know. I'd be curious to hear kind of like what strategies people are doing these last couple of months to prevent that. Part of it is really super difficult in just the way that Ethereum is designed and when you have a limited supply, but I'm sure there are things we can do to make it better.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, I've seen I feel like most of the recent drops have been kind of a mess with gas. Like anything that I've tried to, I just like give up after a few minutes trying to mint something because people are putting like 1,500 Gwei or whatever, like just crazy amounts of gas for any of these recent drops. So, yeah, there must be some way around it, but it doesn't seem like anyone's figured it out recently, at least.
Yeah, because even with like, let's say there's 1,000 wizards that are burnable. I mean, yeah, I guess if like all 1,000, if people try to burn all 1,000 within the same 2 minutes, it's going to be expensive.
I had a suggestion for this, and it's not a technical one; it's a lore one.
Yeah.
So basically, doing some research, which is well beyond me because I'm a flippin' writer. I'm not a coder. I'm not a blockchain expert. Do some research about what Gwei to set the gas at, and then draft a bit of lore and maybe some cool graphics that are kind of in-world tutorial for people for how to sort of finick the gas to make that work.
Yeah.
That would be a really good thing.
I like that.
I work with a bunch of projects, and people are really willing to deal with like gas stuff or whatever kind of finicky things that the blockchain is doing if you sort of communicate clearly, teach people how, and manage expectations. So that's basically where I'm coming
That's good
from.
advice.
Yeah.
I was wondering, like, maybe two questions. If there would be like other burnings of sorts, or because there was different witch trials of the past where there was drownings and there was burnings and stonings, and we have water wizards, we have geomancy wizards. So I was wondering, one, will fire wizards have a better chance faring against burns, and will there be future burns, or however you want to call it, where there's drownings and stuff like that?
I think you'll have to like wait and see how this burn plays out with regards to those sort of things. But
Yeah, it's
future burns, I'm not. I I think it'll be a solemn occasion, so I'm not like looking forward to doing it more.
yeah,
But
no,
maybe.
it's a really fun idea. You know, just to like extrapolate further, is there going to be an opportunity to resurrect one that you've burned? I don't know. I'm not committing to that at all, but I it is a fun thought experiment. So who knows?
Question or comment?
Yep.
Actually, in terms of
Sure.
gas, like what about what Parallel did with their car drop? We reserved it and then they went in back to avoid all the gas wars to make this transaction happen.
I'll look into it.
I
I don't
know
actually know
it's hard to
technically how they did their drop, and that sounds awesome.
Yep.
I think the way that they did is I think they actually pre-minted everything, and then they just kind of had everybody reserve their spot, and then it was kind of like, all right, when you're ready for it, you
I know
pay
there
for
were
it, and then you
comments on
pay
Twitter
for it.
with Parallel and the Wizards. So that's something next gen.
Yes. Okay, so there's two separate things. One would be Parallels drop, one would be a collab. Sorry, Matazuki, you were saying that you reserved it and then
And I think
paid for
what
it
they did is,
separately, right?
yeah, I think they pre-minted everything, and then kind of like when you did a reservation, they kind of randomized like what wallet would get what, like it would whitelist your wallet and essentially give you. I forgot how exactly they worked it. I think they actually had like the code that they had commented, and then they uncommented the portions of it when you were ready to like mint or something. It was really complicated when I took a brief look at it, but I have to look at it again to really extrapolate what really happened. I think that what they did was they pre-minted, and then they did some very interesting workarounds with the front end and back end to make it happen.
I see. I'll look into it. And then, yeah, in terms of collaboration, I think there's a lot of like folks on Twitter that want it to happen. I think their project is amazing, and I'm also a big like Magic the Gathering. Well, not compared to like big Magic the Gathering people, but like I super enjoy it.
Yeah.
You have to talk to them. Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. So I actually talked to Kalos. We had a little chat yesterday. Both of us are we're interested in the idea of a collab. We do not know what it would actually be. So I told Kalos that I would ask you guys if you guys have ideas of how that collaboration would work. Then like feel free to DM me.
Is this supposed to be a card game?
Parallels is a card game. Yes, we are obviously not that. Also, like one of the issues was like he doesn't want to put our wizards on his cards because it's just like a totally different universe, and I agree with him. There's no like real narrative reason for wizards to come into their universe, unless we had to like write that all out. But even then, that can get sticky and messy. So I don't know if you guys have ideas of how that collab could work, then just feel free to DM me or him.
Rather than a collab, something I would really like to see is like not necessarily like a card game, but to make like, I don't know, some way that they could battle against each other and just like, I don't know, have the stats based on their items or their armor or their familiar and whatnot. Like, I'm sure it wouldn't take that much effort to come up with something like that where they could kind of fight each other.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I think this is something that we'd be doing right away anyway. Like, we would need like if you think about The Witcher, they have like a whole world to use with monsters and everything as like siege weapons and stuff like that. So we would probably have to world build before we even think about anything serious like that.
I mean, yeah, that would be
Right.
dope, man. Seeing these like with metaverse capabilities, along with being able to do something like, just say one person's, like say a person with the staff with the blue orb, that might be super effective against, that type of deal. Throw that in there,
Sure.
something like that.
Yep. Super cool. Okay, I actually have to leave in like 2 minutes to go look at that gallery that I mentioned earlier. If Dota, if you want to continue for 10 more minutes.
Yeah, promote me to host, and I'm happy to host.
Yep. Let me do that right now. Right. Okay, it looks like all I can do is do co-host. Does that work?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm actually gonna bounce, but Dota, don't forget to sign out in the proper way. Let's see if you can do it. But yeah, I will. Okay, awesome. All right, I'll see you guys later. Thank you.
The power is mine.
Oh, okay. Hold on, Dota. I think you have to demote me somehow. I don't know how I can leave without shutting this whole thing down.
Well,
I
It's
don't
all right,
even.
dude.
you better just
Just
sign
mute
off.
the computer on.
Okay, I'm just gonna mute it. Later, guys.
All right. Have fun.
See? Yeah, I don't know if there's any other way.
I have a suggestion for the
Okay,
parallel collab. What about if you guys did
let's hear it.
joke cards, like how they did in that Unhinged expansion in Magic, where it's like they're cards that are never used in game.
Right.
It's just like a collectible.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to have a Wizards card game. I know that there's like indie game communities. So for example, like like the Oatmeal, like Matthew Inman, how he did Exploding Kittens, for example. That was like a totally, or maybe it was Throw Burrito, but the idea is that like a different game before he got involved. And there's community of game designers where they're able to like indie game designers where they create games that are like close to fun, but maybe the artwork's not there, like the flavor's not there. And so my dream is that we could sort of find someone who's a bit far along in the mechanics, um, and then do it. Because like I love playing like Magic the Gathering, but I'm also not a game designer. So whenever I sit down and try to design a Wizards game, I just end up like creating Magic with like Wizards on the cards. It's kind of fun, but not like something we could really do for real. So yeah, happy to kind of hear those ideas. If anyone sort of is in that community, I'd love to talk to some people there.
Yeah, I had a thought about the collab also. Maybe it could be something like if you own a wizard and if you also own some parallel cards, could like the wizards get access, some sort of like pre-drop access, pre-release? Because I know that they have a drop coming in October. Sort of maybe like an incentive to have to own wizards, and also then you can get some cards as well.
Right.
Hey Dota, if we can segue real quick, I was seeing a lot of comments in the Discord. A lot of new people were wondering about the Warriors. Would you be able to touch up on that this AMA?
Yeah, totally. I mean, okay, so all right. So one about new people. I'm working on docs for the website. There's, it's clear to me that we need to have more information on the website around like how do we think about affinity? What does it mean to create lore for your wizard? Like what are the different clubs or the ways you can get involved? Like, there's all these like the basic questions that people seem to always ask, and we just need to do a better job. By we, I really mean me, because I'm in charge of like making that happen, in putting those links up on the website and making sure that it's like easy for new people to kind of understand everything that's going on. Elf and I are also working on doing like an updated roadmap, because we just have like so much stuff coming up that we were like juggling at the same, like we're working simultaneously, right, on like derivative artworks, comics, show, game, like all these things are happening, but you can't like go one place and kind of see where everything is. So we'll work on making that better. I for sure know that that's like a problem. In terms of Warriors specifically, I mean, I am so excited to launch new characters. So Warriors, for example, is the first one. I've talked about this before, that like there's so many, when you look at the map, there's so many characters that can come eventually, to have like Merfolk from the Brine, or like who are the Hue Masters, or um, do we do more like vampires from the Mist, these kinds of things. And so I'm like quite excited to to do a drop of Burnomes, right? Like that would be so fun. But I think we also want to be really considerate of like all of the stakeholders, right? For us today to drop a 10K collection of Warriors, be fun to have those people in our community. Maybe like, as much as I don't love to like focus on tokenomics of the price of Wizards, there is an argument to be made that maybe like our floor price just recently got above minting, and if we did a bunch of Warriors, people have complained to me. They said, "Oh, if you did a 10K drop of Warriors, you're just going to kill the price of Wizards," and we wouldn't like that, because we felt like we invested in Wizards, and like joined this community with like an expectation that they're going to kind of like grow and all these things. So, as I always do, I want to like make a clear statement that your purchase of a wizard is not an investment, and like are not building value into your wizards. In fact, that's part of the reason the Book of Lore is that you're able to sort of add on to your wizards in your own way. That said, I also recognize like NFTs for the space, and sort of there's different. There are some people who are in it because they love the lore and the characters and they want to be part of our community, and there are other people that are part of it as they want to like buy low, sell high. And I understand that. I just want to be careful. All that to say, I just want to be careful about when we drop Warriors, and that it's like everyone is just dying for us to launch Warriors, and like it's like so obvious that we should do this drop, and everyone wants them, and maybe we're there, and I just don't recognize it, but I just feel that like one, for example, one clear kind of marker for me might be this idea that we have a game. If we have a game, we're not going to only have 10,000 people who can never play it. So I think in one sense, it will be a bit like Fortnite in that if you join, if you join the game and you don't own a wizard, you can still play and get items and get property and whatever, but you don't get like the wizard skin. The wizard skin only exists for the wizard holder. But if we had a game and it was growing, you could imagine that there's room for us to do a set of warriors. And so I think that's like a clear kind of milestone in which we'll do warriors. But maybe we do it before. Like maybe we'll be ready before. I'm not exactly sure. What do you all think?
I think doing warriors right now would kind of dilute away from, I don't want to say the value, but at least the momentum behind what Wizards has going on. I would prefer we kind of wait until Wizards is like further developed. Then that way the value of the Warriors isn't jeopardized as well,
That's what I think too. I think we just wait a little bit. Like wait until it's just so obvious that we like have to have, because we do need to have warriors in this world, and we do need to have other characters, but like let's not rush it. Like let's not rush it before it's time. Inviting you up here. Hello.
About the somebody popped up before to say that we could use the sort of like some weapons and that some props being more effective in like a PvP sort of battle sense. And I was wondering if you had any insight on whether the affinities could be used in that process.
Yeah, for sure. Also, there's a couple of people that just requested to speak, and I like X'd you out when I was like trying to accept. So just try again if you want to speak. Yes, I think like affinities like are very likely to be related to kind of the powers of your wizard, right? This idea that sort of a wizard has a strong affinity towards fire, for example, is going to make them more effective with fire. So I think this will for sure play a role.
Is there okay? I see a lot of the special wizards have like no familiar, no rune. Is there anything special about that?
Like you mean like the uniques?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just want to have balance in the world, right? Like uniques are unique, and that is what they are. So I think, I don't think like, like D's wizard is super awesome, but like it shouldn't be, for example, like the king of all wizards. It has its own strengths and drawbacks. Okay, we've just got a few more minutes here. We're rolling up on an hour, so I know a couple of folks came up to speak. Happy to answer just a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap up.
I don't know what you were thinking, Marcus, but maybe the unique wizards could be in the same affinity classes, like maybe there's some wizard heads that are basically different colors. They're all like a form of wizard though, in terms of like they're all human male wizards.
Yeah, and I think that there's a couple aspects, right? There's sort of the wizard and its role and the lore and in the world, and then with like specific games, there's going to be specific game mechanics, because when we do, for example, let's say that we are able to create kind of the Forgotten Runes metaverse game, we think of a game like you might think of, let's say, I don't know, a Zelda game, right? There's many Zelda games, everything from A Link to the Past to like the Ocarina of Time, and it's not like sort of the core essence of Link isn't in any one particular game, and I want to be careful on folks like over indexing, I guess, on any one character's role in any one particular game, because I feel like that's just one slice of the entire pie of the like wholeness of a particular wizard. If that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
All right, we are at time. So this has been Elf, J Troll, and Dada at the Quantum Downs signing off. Have a good day, wizards.